Flowing water has no form. Rustling winds are invisible, no matter what the case. Oh wait, wrong show. Data recovery and getting to the real truth, one mystery at a time. Today I put to test what a store manager at CeX once said to me. As a company, we do a professional wipe on every card or drive we sell. Does CeX wipe drives before selling them? Let's get started. Welcome back. I just want to say before we start this week's challenge that I love CeX. I've been a CeX customer for well over 20 years, and I proudly carry my CeX card with me wherever I go. I visit their stores often for a little bit of retail therapy, or shall we say, sexual healing. So remember, this CeX challenge is simply a bit of fun. CeX challenge number 1, of however many I think I can get away with before the joke gets old. I have here 3 times 2GB USB sticks, 2 times 1GB USB sticks, and a 500GB external hard drive. These were purchased from a mixture of webuy.com, which is the CeX website in the UK, and the hard drive was purchased from a brick-and-mortar CeX store, the exact same one where the manager told me they wipe every drive they sell. The 2GB sticks are all verbatim brand, blue with a retractable connector. For the ease of keeping track of which one is which, I've written a different number on all 3. Then there's a Sony Microvolt 1GB USB, and then this, one of those ugly red generic 1GB USB sticks with the horrible sticky oxidized rubber and the logo or brand pretty much worn from the metal. Then last, but not least, a Toshiba 500GB drive snugly inserted into a generic aftermarket USB 3.0 case. Just as an aside, these drive housings easily turn old laptop drives into external storage. They're cheap online and definitely useful. This isn't an advert, but I highly recommend them. So these are our 6 drives, or CeX drives. We're going to do them one by one, checking first of all if there's files or folders on them, undeleted. Then we're going to scan the drive for deleted files. If there's a file list present, we're going to save the list. Then we're going to recover any files that we can. If there's nothing there, or the files can't be recovered, it's a CeX point. If we get any real, viewable files from the drive, then it's a point to us. Good? Good. Okay. Let's see if CeX sells. Storage that hasn't been wiped. Item number 1 is the verbatim 2GB memory stick. Number 1. I inserted it into the computer and the root was empty. I performed a data recovery operation on the stick and the file names that were returned were all garbled and corrupted. Memory stick number 1 was indeed professionally wiped. No files remain. That's 1 CeX point. That doesn't instill me with the greatest of confidence in the other verbatim sticks. Item 2 is verbatim 2GB memory stick number 2. I inserted the second 2GB memory stick into the computer, which also showed no files on the root. I performed data recovery and once again the list of files that was returned were all garbled and corrupted. So that's 2 for 2 to CeX. Both sticks so far were professionally wiped before they were sold. What about the third? Item number 3 is verbatim 2GB memory stick number 3. The third and final verbatim 2GB memory stick once again showed 0 files on the root. However, the file recovery didn't pull up a completely garbled list of file names this time. 5 RAR archives, supposedly in excellent condition, and all of them were able to be recovered. So that Sexpert, pleasant fellow. Sure, he had the best intentions in making sure I saved my money, but we did manage to find a stick that hadn't been professionally wiped. I'm not going to leave you hanging, you want to know about those RARs, right? BobbyRobson.rar, BruceSpringsteen.rar, BillHicks.rar, RowanAtkinson.rar, and JohnCleese.rar. That's an eclectic mix. What connects them? Unless John Cleese and Rowan Atkinson put out audio recordings, I have no idea. Well, that's what's weird about them. The Rowan Atkinson and John Cleese RAR archives contain just the audio from Blackadder and Faulty Towers respectively. Bill Hicks contains Love, Laughter and Truth, Bobby Robson contains Farewell but Not Goodbye, and Bruce Springsteen contains Born to Run, unabridged. These are all in M4A format, which would play well with Apple devices such as the iPod and iPhone. It seems reasonable to assume that somebody converted Blackadder and Faulty Towers to audio, presumably to listen to them on the go. The RAR files are not much use to me. I'm more of a Dennis Leary guy myself, hey! But needless to say, this stick wasn't professionally wiped. So far, that's 2-1 to CeX. Item number 4 is the Sony Microvolt 1GB USB stick. Once again, empty root with no files. After data recovery, it is still completely empty. My honest guess? Either completely formatted or the stick was never even used. No files en route. No files, not even garbled ones, when performing data recovery. Used and wiped, or never used. It's scuffed to high hell, which makes me feel like it was used before. My decision is that this has to have been wiped clean somehow. It's the only thing that makes sense. 3-1 to CeX. We've either drawn or lost. Let's look at the last two contenders to find out. Item number 5 is the generic red 1GB memory stick. The brand name's One, the rubber all sticky. This USB is hella icky. This looks like it has had major hammering over the years. Inserted it into the computer and once again no files. So I performed data recovery and exactly the same picture. No files. Not even the garbled names of wiped files. Completely empty. Item number 6 is the 500GB external hard drive in a clear case with a USB 3.0 interface. Once again, I plugged this into the computer and it was completely empty, but after a practically all-night data recovery process, a whole heap of files were successfully retrieved. JPEGs, zips, bat scripts, manuals, and spreadsheets containing somewhat classified information. It's a good thing I haven't signed an NDA. From what I can gather, this was a test bench drive that was plugged into laptops on an automated Hewlett-Packard assembly line, which would then run various scripts for setting up those laptops. There are JPEG files that make up the on-screen user interface, zip files which would have been automatically extracted to install features, and included on this drive are spreadsheets containing master blueprints and instructions for the entire automated laptop assembly line. In theory, I could set up my own factory in China, making 2010-era laptops with this information, and as tempting as that is, I'm simply satisfied with backing all this up and throwing it on the Internet Archive for other people to peruse. If you're curious as to how this production line worked, the laptop would boot into a DOS environment to transfer the contents onto the laptop, then it would enter a Windows pre-installation environment, and from there it would run a whole bunch of scripts, including some very sensitive ones that perform Windows authentication and activation at a base level. Unfortunately, that script doesn't appear to be here. I wish it was, because it would mean complete authentic activation of any 2010-era HP laptop for free whenever you want it. After installing Windows proper, it would do a bunch of checks to ensure the laptop is ready, and then, provided it passes those, the laptop is sent off to be shipped. Completely automated laptop assembly and installation. Wild to see this left buried on a hard drive CeX claimed was professionally wiped. Overall, it's 4-2 in CeX's favour, and they've comfortably won, but I've got to say this. I've wiped my butt more professionally, with tracing paper, than they wiped this drive. Our conclusion. CeX does not consistently perform a professional wipe on the drives they sell. The statement that they professionally wipe every drive they sell is factually incorrect. But I think there's a good chance they do wipe most of them. I'm not fully convinced with the outcome of this exercise. I have already decided that I will be running the same exercise again soon, but replacing USB drives with internal hard drives, since these are less convenient to wipe. You can wipe them, sure. You could hot swap them into a computer and erase them, but I don't think CeX can be bothered. Plugging them into the USB interface directly and formatting them seems to be the MO for USB sticks and SD cards. But just look at this 500GB drive here with all the laptop assembly stuff on it. That plugs in on the USB and wasn't fully wiped. So I question if CeX really has the patience to wipe drives that take even more effort to wipe. Hard drives may be the ultimate test of this argument, I reckon. This is one battle that CeX has won, but I think there's more to this. I've been well and truly humbled, I'd say. I've learned quite a bit about the inner workings of CeX today. It appears they wipe most of what they sell. Hopefully, we can run this CeX-ercise again, provided I continue to find storage at CeX for a reasonable price. I'm always looking, because with memory cards and storage media like these, archaeology is extremely exciting. You never know what you're gonna find next. So CeX don't wipe everything they sell, but sometimes they may as well have. Check out this video, where CeX sold me a 32GB Memory Stick Pro Duo that the previous owner had only used a handful of times. Click on the video on screen to watch that now. I've been Escape Route British, you've been watching Archive Dive. Until next time, if we live that long.